It's time for the Albertville Aggie Coach Bert Browne Show. Every Wednesday night, you can tune into Power 107.5 with your host, Aggie play-by-play announcer, Barry Galloway, live at Legends in the Crossroad Mall in Albertville. For the next hour, Aggie head coach Bert Browne will be joined by other Aggie coaches and Albertville players, and we'll talk Aggie football. Now let's go live to Legends in Albertville, here on Power 107.5 FM.
And welcome to Legends of Albertville. Barry Galloway, John Gladden, Keith Ball with us. Coach Brown will be talking with us in a couple of minutes. Man, those wings smell good, Coach.
Yes, they do.
Man, we got to thank Legends for, hard to believe this is the final show of the season.
Yeah.
And let's go back to the beginning of this before we get into talking about just football. When you first came to town, John approached me and said, Coach Brown has a question about maybe making a show out of this, like once a week, coming here to like a restaurant and talking football for an hour. So
I think it's good for our kids and to get them on the radio and let them talk and learn how to do it and that kind of thing. And it gives them some publicity. And so I think it's been a great thing and hope we can do it again next year.
And I'll be honest with you, the first week I wasn't sure how it was going to go because with players you don't know. But I tell you, after we have a chance to talk to the young men to get to know them more, it makes their job, for me, more enjoyable knowing kind of the personality we're looking at, the kind of young men we're looking at, then watching them going out perform and then them coming back and talking with us about it. It gives me a bit more appreciation of the game.
Yeah. Well, you'd really have appreciation of what I do if you come to practice right before we stretch and watch our – we're like in the fourth grade. Everybody's hitting each other, touching each other, wrestling each other. I mean, it's literally like a third grade PE class. I mean,
are you herding cats, Coach?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
From seventh grade until they get to be about 18, you lose them.
Yeah,
they become brain dead goons. And then when they get to be 18, some of them come back.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. So they got to slap somebody in the head, and somebody's got to slap somebody else in the head and pluck somebody in the ear, and you know.
So you go from being a coach to being a parent almost.
It's constantly. I don't know how the son of a guns do it, but they do it. They get a football in that locker room.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know how they do it. I don't know where they get it. I don't know because our stuff's locked up, and somehow they've always got a football in there. And, I'll hear them in there. I go in there, and they're throwing it around. And I mean, bad things happen in there if you're trying to throw touchdowns in the metal lockers,
Yeah. They all turn into the Houdinis,
being kids.
Bunch of Houdinis. I have no idea how they get football.
It's unbelievable. It
really
is. It is.
I feel the same way as a dad.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at mine and just shake their head, and I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
Gee
we
whiz, I get it.
We got some good games this weekend on Saturday. I told my wife, I said, I'm watching college football all day long. I'm relax on the couch, and usually I come in about 6:30 and watch game film. And since this is the last one, I'm going to do that. I know I got to put a plug in for my alma mater, Michael Penix Jr., Washington's quarterback. His daddy played at Tennessee Tech, was a great running back and great human being. Wife was a track star at Tennessee Tech also. Of course, Mike was a great tailback and out of Florida. And so now Michael Penix Jr. is probably in the top of the Heisman race right now.
Yep.
One I've seen, it's between him and I think Bo Nix, between the two of just.
Yeah, Bo Nix. Bo Nix is in there. Yeah, definitely when they meet up, it'll probably decide who wins the Heisman, whoever wins that game because, did they already play?
They already played.
Yeah,
Washington beat them.
but they'll probably play again in the Pac-12 championship. Or
now, wasn't that's the Penix kid he started out at Indiana, right? Got in the transfer portal.
Yeah. And I talked to Mike about his daddy about once a month. I'll text him, and he'll text me, or we get up with each other on Facebook. And after that game, I told him, "You boy's a dog now. I mean, golly, he's tough. I mean, he takes some shots. And, at Indiana, he just had an offensive line that wasn't very good, and he was getting hit, and he had 2 knee surgeries, and pretty much just made a business decision, which was smart. I mean, if he stayed in Indiana, he would not be in the running for the Heisman Trophy.
No.
So.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to last week. We'll talk about the game. Bob Jones, last road game of the year. Your thoughts on the game?
Well, second drive of the game for them, we have a pick in the end zone, drop it, and the next play they score a touchdown. And that's just something that we've got to, for us, we got to make those plays because we're not good enough yet to not make that play and stop somebody's drive and then stop them, And then, of course, we give up a 2nd and 28, a big long pass there. They get inside the 10, I guess, and score a touchdown maybe the next play or two.
Yep.
Stuff like that, man. You got to make, that's what I do a cut up every Saturday morning and write notes down, and then I watch it when the kids come in Sunday. I watch it, and the coaches watch it with them, and I talk about them, and so many, the 28 plays this week. Some were in there were good, but the majority were not. That, I usually try to put some good stuff in there and say, okay, look at this. This is how you play this, and on one of their quick screens to the wide out, we don't come screaming up and set the edge at the corner, and they take it to the house, and then another one we have. They did the same play. Our corner comes up, screams up, sets the edge, and we tackle it for 2-yard gain. So, those are the little things that I talk to them about all the time. It's those little things like, getting out of your lane on the kickoff team and they return a kick for a touchdown. It's little things like that. If you're not out of your lane, you're doing what you're coached to do, that guy doesn't have a lane to run in. Or he has to get boom, 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 work his feet back and forth, trying to find a hole in on a kickoff. When you're returning a kickoff, it's got to be vertical. You got to go. There's no dancing. It's not like punting, a punt return. A punt returner, you want somebody that can make a guy miss or two and get 7 or 8 yards, and that's a dang good punt return. But on a kickoff return, you got to get vertical, find a crease, and believe it's going to be there and go because you don't have time to dance because everybody's flying down there. So, stuff like that. And I just, then we, I don't know how many times I've said this. When the ball goes 10 yards on the kickoff, it's anybody's ball. Mm-hmm. So if it goes right over your head, you got to get it. Mm-hmm. And we, we're just so young and just can't, we got to figure that stuff out, man. We can't let that ball just die. And, they get on it after their second touchdown. They get on that, and I think 2 plays later, it's 22-0. Yep. And we are not good enough offensively to overcome stuff like that. So it's like I told them about this week. We've got to do the little things right, and we're not asking anybody to do anything superhuman. It's just football 101 stuff, that we've got to do and be able to do and take care of our business, and we'll be okay.
Coach, you talk about practice this week, and I mean, you got to look at the past game film just so you can make those corrections, and then you get ready for this week. And obviously, this is a big week. It's rivalry week.
Yeah.
So just kind of wanting to get your thoughts on this week in practice, a rivalry week. You've played in them where everybody at this table has played in them. And the funny thing is that no matter how your season's going, one game can change the trajectory of a season.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, I mean, and just kind of, the team's thoughts going in.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But this is, in essence, a chance for you to have a big season.
Oh, yeah. Well, going into the off season, this would be a great win for us. It'd be something that we could build on, and I just really believe that if we will do, we have played basically King Kong and Godzilla on the offensive line all year. I mean, and we're playing against 6'6", 320. I mean, one kid looked like Bigfoot out there that they just shaved him. It's incredible. I looked and I was standing over there. I was like, this, I coached Division I college football, man, and I'm like, good Lord, this guy's a monster. I mean, he is a monster. And he was a backup, and so we're not, listen, Guntersville is a heck of a team, but they, across the front, they are not 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", and and I've told them, I said, hey, they are a very good team. They're very well coached. They do what they're coached to do. You can tell that they are very well coached. So we've just got to go out and play our game and against a football team that will get after you. They fly around. They're well coached and just play a halfway mistake-free ball game. If we can eliminate half of our mistakes, I think we're in the ball game.
Injury question from last week. Havis went out early.
He's good.
I'll ask Christian and Chase a minute, but he was having trouble with his footing. Was something different about the turf?
No, I don't know. I mean, it was the same turf he rushed for 172 yards on the week before. So,
right.
Yeah, he's fine. He's feeling good and everything. He's good to go, and he's excited about it. And we are, we have been very fortunate this year with injuries. We haven't had any major ones, so we're excited about that.
And I do think when he went out, Laredo and Kirkland came in and ran the ball well.
They did. They did a good job. They sure did. So, those guys have done an excellent job for us.
Well, Coach, we got, going back, I know we're going to talk about Gunnersville a little more here in a minute. Going back, we talked about it a little bit at halftime last week, that running back that Bob Jones had. And then you had the converted offensive lineman that
played tight end.
Yeah, and played a little H-back, was 300 pounds. Yeah, and then running back 250.
Yeah.
And like you were talking about, Gunnersville is a good team. They're well coached. And one of the biggest things about Gunnersville over the last 12, 15 years, it's just that continuity. They've had the same coach. But, man, like you were just saying, they do have a good running back, but he ain't 250 pounds.
No.
I'm sure they got a good blocking back, but he ain't 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's somebody that physically I think we're going to match up a little better with this week versus last week.
Yeah, I mean, anytime. Look, me and Coach Carter talked about this. He's been coaching. He's been a head junior college coach in Mississippi the last 10 years, and we've played offensive and defensive line in our region that look like junior colleges. Mm-hmm. And this 7A football is no joke now. You got anytime you have big high schools with a big population to draw from, they're going to have some big kids.
Coach, we're going to take a time out. Your wings are getting cold. We'll go back and talk to Christian and Chase. We'll talk more to Coach Browne coming up in a minute. Let's take a time out back with more coming up here at Legends of Albertville with the Coach Bert Browne Show here on Power 107.5. And welcome back to Legends of Albertville. Barry Galloway, John Glad, and Keith Ball. Some guests joining us with Coach Browne enjoying some wings here at Legends. And I want to thank Legends again for having us out here every Wednesday night. Christian Ramirez. Christian, you might have been with us on week 1, I believe.
Yes, sir. I was here with y'all.
You're familiar with Legends, so we see you quite often. But Coach brought you in tonight because another good game this past Friday night. Unfortunately, a losing effort. But let's talk about, first of all, you've been battling injuries off and on all year, but the way you play, sometimes you can't tell it. You still play well, even though you're still kind of banged up. So how you feeling today?
Feel pretty good. This week of practice going so far good. Just with the trainers we have, just go to rehab and just keep strengthening those ankles up.
Because we were talking something that kind of happened back beginning of the season, but you've battled through it. So how do you do something like that? I mean, is it a mind thing? I know that you get it wrapped, you get taped, but so how do you do that?
It's just a mindset. I mean, I get rolled up on all the time during the game, just walk it off. Like Bob Jones, second quarter, I got rolled up on, just walked it off. Just another play. So how do you grade yourself from week 1 this season for you overall? Have you done what you were hoping you would do as well as you would do? Of course, you want to do better. Everybody does, but how would you grade yourself? I'd say I've learned a lot and got better as a player, and just a lot of keys in my toolbox I could use. Just I feel like I've got growth since the start of the season. I think Keith and John will agree. Christian's been Mr. Consistent all year. You can always count on him being the guy. He's going to give you he's a guy you can always turn to when you need something done in the clutch.
Well, and what I love about Christian is I mean, you talk about a guy that's given 100% on every play when he's out there. And, gosh, does he ever come off the field except once in a blue moon? I mean, you got him playing, when he's your best lineman, and not offensive lineman, not defensive lineman, best lineman. And, I mean, there's times where you're having to play defense, and then you may come off the field long enough to get a sip of water during the punt, and then it's time to trot back out there as an offensive lineman. So what has that been like? in terms of the growth of your mindset, because not only do you have to understand all the defensive calls and all the defensive checks that the linebackers are making behind you, but then you also got to know the other guys' playbooks over there on offense. You've got to understand all of those plays and the calls that are coming in from other. So, I mean, talking about the mental part of the game. No doubt physical parts, you got that down. But just your thoughts on this year and the expanding of the mental part of your game being on both sides of the ball.
Well, I'd say it was a challenging effort of learning both sides, but I'd say I'm a quick learner and I got it down pretty quick and just keep studying those plays.
Well, Christian, it's we got to talk to you week one, and I feel like Christian's I feel like he's been around for 5 years, and he's 18, 19 years old, and you really think about it, only a sophomore, but as far as physical maturity, much stronger than really any sophomore that I've seen come through in a long time. Talk about that love of the weight room, and I got a feeling that comes from Big Brother a little bit.
Yeah, it comes from him. It all started with him. He got me in the gym, just that love for getting better and just beating that max and just getting stronger.
Yeah, I think your strength, obviously y'all have worked hard at that, and I know you work with the team on that. Plus, in the off season or away from the team, you really put in the extra time. But physically, you're just built to be strong. I mean, and Edgar was the same way. Big strong guy, played offensive and defensive line, did a really good job. Talk about, it is your sophomore year, but man, it's the last game of the year. Really, you're a junior at this point. Talk about. Maybe like they were talking about a little bit, that growth from, hey, last year being a freshman out here playing to now you're really a junior.
Yeah, it's just a really big difference now, just knowing that you got to get prepared for those colleges looking at me and just keying in, making more plays, and I got to be that guy.
Yeah, you're definitely stepped in that leadership role. I tell you one thing, and I don't know if it's come across Coach's mind, I'd like to see you line up in a goal line, maybe a fullback spot, Coach. What do you think?
The fridge.
Yeah, the old fridge, and let him tote one.
I like that idea.
So, Christian, I don't know. This is truly not a loaded question because I don't know the answer to this. But you don't play any other sports? You're not in track or anything like that with the shot put, or are you?
I did track last year. My first year doing it.
So, what do you do in track?
Shot put and disc, but I kind of started late, but Callahan got me right and made it to state in disc.
Oh, congrats. I didn't know that. Congrats. I got to know something. So are you going to go back to track again this year?
It's a maybe.
A maybe?
Yeah.
So my quick question. All right. So junior, right? This year, sophomore.
Sophomore.
Getting ready for your junior year. What do you think about your growth, your ceiling? Is there a ceiling? Because you got Coach Halford, and he's a monster in the weight room.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm just thinking about you getting bigger and faster and stronger, in the weight room. Collegiate guy leading the way in there. About you being one of those guys that we on our broadcast we talk about. So and so being committed here, so and so going to LSU or whatever. I see you there. What's your plans? You want to go play college football somewhere?
I do.
Do you?
I really do.
Awesome. So what's your mindset? Last game of the year. We'll talk about the game in a little bit. After the game, going into the off season, whether or not you do track, talk to me about the weight room in the off season for you.
Definitely going to be there a lot, especially Coach Browne saying we're going to hit that weight room real hard, and people might quit just from hitting the weight room with us on the off season. So really going to focus on little things and just keep going with hitting the weight room really hard.
Awesome.
When next year comes around, which side of the ball do you want to be on the most, offense or defense?
Defense.
Defense.
But at the beginning of the season, like Coach Browne said, he needed me on offense. So if I have to play offense again, I'll do it for the team.
How big is the game Friday, beating one of your rivals? How big a win would that be for you?
That'd be awesome because we haven't beat them since, 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
Right.
And it'll feel nice that my team beat that, and I was part of that.
What have you seen from Guntersville? What can we look for? What do you see in Guntersville? How good are they in your mind?
I'd say they're a good team, but they're beatable, obviously. Just got to keep practicing the way we are and just keying those little things and adjusting them.
Well, we're excited about it, and You've played some great ball this year. I know you've toughed out several injuries, so we just appreciate you and the effort you've put in this year. Let's jump off the field a little bit. We always ask everybody, and I will probably ask you for week one, what's your favorite kind of music?
I'm all around, honestly. I can listen to anything.
I got you. What about athlete?
Aaron Donald.
Huh?
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Darnold, okay.
Okay.
I thought he was just going to say the whole Georgia Bulldogs team because I know
Yeah.
he's a big Bulldogs guy.
Jordan Davis.
Yeah, I got you.
So if and when you're not playing football, what does Christian like to do other than playing football?
I'd say the gym. I don't really play the game no more, Chase. You can go over there.
Soccer.
You like to pick up heavy stuff. We know that.
Yeah.
Well, Christian, looking forward to Friday night, and thank
Cow
you for all.
tipping.
Cow tipping. Thank you for all you've done this year, and looking forward to Friday night. I appreciate you, Christian.
You're welcome.
All right, now we're going to turn the headphones over. This gentleman's been waiting all year, John,
All year.
and he's ready. It's a big moment now.
It's his debut.
He
If
doesn't
he
know
goes
we're
down
going-
in Flamesbury, I got him a shot at the table.
He doesn't know we're going to ask him to sing tonight.
He's already scared, Barry. He's just got that look in his face.
I want to welcome Chase Bynum. Chase, how you doing, man?
Good.
So you've been waiting. Seriously, he's probably been the biggest supporter of this night for the entire season. We appreciate that. You may think people don't notice, but we do notice, and that shows me a lot that you support not just what we do, but Albertville football, and I think that shows a lot.
Yeah, I love coming here and making fun of Coach Brown.
I was gonna say, I think there's some shenanigans usually going on behind me back there with old Chase.
This is why me and Keith face this way.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to testify. If you get in trouble, we
Well,
can see it.
and Barry's the only pro at the table. 'Cause there's no way I can stay professional if you're back there making goofy faces. So, but no, it is seriously. It's awesome that you showed up for your teammates, and there's been a lot of tough things this year, and let's be honest, it's been a tough season. But I tell you what, you've got you and Christian, both 10th graders, really looking forward to seeing what you guys do the next couple of years.
Yeah, I'm going to be hitting the weight room and stuff with Christian, hoping to get stronger and put on another 20 pounds.
Well, if you'll hang out with that guy, you'll get stronger, I promise.
Chase, do you play any other sports except for football?
I did wrestling last year and probably won't do that again.
I'll tell you something. I think Coach Brown will be the first one to tell you offensive lineman on a wrestling mat is a good thing. You talk about good with your feet and good with your hands. That's matter of fact. Believe this or not, 100 years ago, when I was a teacher and a football coach at St. Clair County High School for 2 years, that any and every one of my football players that weren't in basketball or getting ready for the baseball season, I had them on the wrestling mat. And we finished, and I'm a little plug for myself, we finished 7th and 9th in the state, respectively, back-to-back years. So wrestling is a good sport. Plus, I mean, here's the thing. If a play goes wrong, quarterback gets tackled, y'all can start pointing fingers. You missed your block. You stepped the wrong way. When it's you and another dude on the mat, there ain't nobody to blame if you get pinned but yourself. So I think it's a very physical sport. I'd like to see you not only hit the gym, but I'd like to see you stay with wrestling because I think it can very much improve your lineman skills. What are your thoughts now that I've kind of put that bug in your ear?
I love wrestling. I did it last year, but I hurt my hip last year. I tore my hip flexor doing wrestling. But I loved it since before then, and I wanted to do it ever since then, but now it just depends.
Now, you play offense and defense. Which do you enjoy the most?
Definitely defense.
What
Definitely.
about? Let's talk about some of the big guys you've went up against. This year. Like Coach Brown said, some of these Huntsville teams have some of the biggest offensive and defensive lines. How tough was that facing some of them?
Yeah, what Coach Brown was saying, that dude, I'm pretty sure he's 21. He looked like Bigfoot.
Yeah, you actually showed us a video. What was it, last week or the week before? I think it was the week before from the
The James Clemens
yeah,
game, and then when the guy hip tossed you out of the ring over the top rope.
Yeah, Friday night I got Michael Ord.
Yeah.
It was not pretty at all. It definitely hurt. I got thrown to the fence.
Yeah, seemed like I remember that a couple of times.
Going up against some of the guys who are playing college ball next year, do you come away from the game learning some stuff and seeing some things they're doing that you said, yeah, I need to learn to do some of that stuff?
Most definitely. Last year I never took a varsity snap. That's definitely a big step up. I feel like I've learned a lot and took a lot for next year.
Is it one of those things that you kind of realize where you said you didn't take a varsity snap last year, this year, a lot of varsity snaps. But I think one thing, and the question is from where you are, do you say, okay, during the off season, these are the things I need to work on. I need to get stronger. I need to get bigger. I need to get faster. I need to work. I mean, what are some of the things that you're looking at? It's like, hey, I'm going to improve on these things during the off season so I can be a very formidable opponent for somebody next year.
Definitely get bigger and work my hands and feet more, because I have mental busts sometimes where I don't do that and I'll miss a block. But when I start doing that in the off season, I feel like I'll become a lot better.
I like it.
What about playing up next to some guys like Christian across from you? Christian, been playing for a couple of years now, so you learn from young men like that?
Yeah, definitely having Christian beside me helps a lot.
I'll tell you what, you two guys are two guys that, I mean, not trying to put a whole lot of pressure on you, but you two guys are two guys that we're going to need to step into leadership roles. I mean, and that's something. It doesn't have to be vocal. It's your body language, the way you practice, the way you work. I mean, y'all are not what we kind of call puppies anymore. Y'all are basically juniors as far as football players go, and we need guys like y'all to step up and take that leadership role and pick up the baton. Where like guys like Kitchens, he's done after Friday night, and he's going to be looking for you guys to step into that role.
Yeah, definitely having Christian and Reed definitely lead us was a lot help. I'm thankful for Reed staying and not quitting like some of the others. He really helped us out, and the O-line showed us things we worked on.
I think one of the keys is, like Coach Browne said, it's some players in school who are not playing right now, getting them out for next year.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a big thing. Try to recruit people to play.
I was going to say, that's another thing. Y'all can step into that recruiter role. Y'all can go around and recruit them guys up and promise them all kind of crazy stuff but never deliver on it. Just get them out there.
With you being a fun guy, let me ask you this question. If you could sign any kind of NIL deal, what product would you like to endorse? What would you like to endorse, Chase?
Wings.
Wings.
Yeah.
Wings.
So
the problem with that, they'd probably only pay you the wings. You won't get any money. You just eat up all the profit.
Hey, it's food.
Yeah.
So what about you, favorite athlete? Who you like? Any kind of sport? Who do you like to watch?
Jason Kelce.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Nah, you're doing that because of Taylor's.
Taylor Swift, yeah. What about favorite music?
Definitely country.
Okay. Good. Oh, there we go. You're good. Well, Chase, we appreciate you coming. And it's seriously, being here every week, it does make a difference. And Coach allowed you to come to the table tonight. We appreciate you joining us. Hey, let's pick up a win Friday night. How about that?
I really hope so. I'm praying for it.
All right.
I'm going to give you a B+ on your first ever
I thought
radio.
you did a great job.
B+. I'm going to give you B+.
He did the whole thing leaning back in the chair.
In the
Oh,
chair.
yeah. Cool as a cucumber,
Yeah.
man.
Well, let's take a time out and come back and talk more. I appreciate you, Chase.
No problem.
We'll come back and talk to Coach Browne here at Legends of Albertville, the Coach Bert Browne Show here on Power 107.5. And welcome back to Legends of Albertville. Final week of the season. Gunnersville coming up in just a couple of nights, Coach. Let's talk Gunnersville. We talked a little bit about them earlier from what you've seen on Gunnersville. How would they compare to some of the teams you've seen from your region?
Well, they're not as big, but they're very well coached. They you can tell how well coached they are by just watching how they, if a tackle blocks down, that defensive end is going to punch him and squeeze, and they do the little things that you can just tell they're very well coached. Offensively, their offensive line does a great job of getting on people, and so it is going to be, there's one of the better teams that will play this year that coaching-wise have done a very good job coaching. So, definitely they're not going to be as big. Because I don't know there's many teams in the southeast United States that are as big as a lot of the schools we've been playing. Because good gracious. And I've been to a lot of high school games over the years as a college coach recruiting and then coaching high school. And I'm telling you now, this region that we're in has got some big human beings in it.
Before we talk more about Gunners, we'll talk about that. Were you surprised seeing that James Clemens and Bob Jones turns out to be two of the top teams in the region back when the season began? Or would you pick those two to be towards the top?
I would have said Spartan's not going to win lose a game. That's what I would have said. I can't believe they're not in the playoffs. Good gracious.
Yeah, they're the number 5 outside looking in.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy.
That is. Because after that game, and watching them on film, just say, okay, these guys won't lose the game. They will not lose the game, and they've lost 4 or 5.
Yep.
Jeez.
Back to Guntersville, a lot of talent on offense, especially the running back. He's been banged up off and on all year.
Yeah.
Hopefully he may hold him for the playoffs, but he's a good one. But it's not just him, though. They have a very talented offense.
They've got a couple good running backs and
yeah.
a very good offensive line. And like I say, they're very well coached, and they do what they're supposed to do offensively and defensively. You can tell that they listen to their coaches, and they are – they're going to be a handful. There's no question. I mean, we're going to have to go out there and play as good as we played all year and limit our mistakes. And they got some big old tall receivers and a quarterback that can move around and throw the ball. So it's definitely going to be a challenge. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have the size to win football games.
Yeah.
And if you've got some guys that will get after you and things like that. So we've got to bring our A game, that's for sure.
And, Coach, when you look at Guntersville, one of the things that I noticed is that a very balanced team, offensively and in both the run and the pass. Obviously, SEC commit Julian Jordan with the opportunity of being able to come back in this game.
Yeah.
But one thing that intrigued me, Coach, is when I went back and I looked. So you got his last name's Delva, I think, or Nelson Delva. And, you're looking at a guy right now who's the 8th ranked running back in 5A, number 45th ranked running back in the entire state in yards. And you got that. So, and I know that numerous times you talked about, you got to sell out, stop the run. But then on the other side of that, you got a 1,200-yard passing quarterback in Morrison. How do you go about looking at that game in a very balanced offense and defense? I mean, a very balanced offense running pass-wise.
Well, one of the things about their quarterback is he can hurt you with his legs too.
Yep.
He's just not a passer. He can run the football, and he does a good job, and he's smart. I've watched much film. I watch a lot of film in the mornings early, and just sitting in my office there watching, and you can tell he looks here, looks there, so he's just not looking at one or two guys. He's coming back to a third or fourth option. So they are a very tough offense to deal with because they can do both.
And when you talked about just then, I mean, you triggered something when you said he looks there. Obviously, you got 4 wide receivers in their wide receiver core, all of them with over 200 yards reception, each one of them with a touchdown or a couple of touchdowns on the season. So unlike where you have one main threat, there's 4. And I know we've talked about this in the past, but the strain and stress that puts on your defensive back core when you have 4, and I wouldn't say average, I would say each one of them equally good at what they do. Yeah. What does that talk about the stress on the defensive back core?
That's just it. I mean, you got most times you can focus on one guy. Okay, this is a guy that we need to stop, and if we can, make somebody else beat us. But I think they, like you say, they got 4 guys that can play, and you just can't focus on 1 or 2 of them. So it is going to be a challenge for us, and it's going to be something that, we've got to get lined correctly. When they motion some things over, we've got to line up and be where we're supposed to be and do those kind of things. So it is going to be a challenge for us because they can do some things. I just hope that for us, I think this is the 109th playing of this football game. It's the oldest rivalry in the state. I'm very excited and honored to be able to coach in it because not too many people can say that, that they've coached in the oldest rivalry and one of the biggest football states in America, So that's something that I'll be able to say. So I'm excited about that, and the kids should be excited about being able to play in it. So we're going to have to clean up our game. We talk about that every week. And that's the part of the cut-ups that I do every Saturday morning and show them on Sunday is, let's just look at. We don't have to do anything superhuman here. It's not, dive across a pile and make a great play. It's just do the basic things that you're coached to do and that you're supposed to do. Last week I can't tell you how many times Tony's got us in the backfield. Coach Harper's got him in the backfield, and we miss a tackle, and it's a 12-yard gain. I mean, should be at -2. And that's something that Christian touched on. This offseason in the weight room, what these guys got to understand is is it's going to be tough in there in this offseason, because this will be the first offseason I've really been with them, because I didn't get here till late March. And I know Coach Hoffer did a great job, but he's a one-man show. And we're going to get in that dang weight room, and we're going to push these guys to get better every day, get stronger. And that's when you're going to win football games, is this winter. In November, December, January, February, March is when we're going to win our football games, because we're going to get in that weight room, get stronger. I know Christian is very strong, and I want to bring everybody else with him. We're going to divide up our kids in squadrons and special forces squadrons, and have leaders that are going to be held accountable and for their group. And so I've got some things that I'm going to do that I think is going to teach us leadership and teach us camaraderie, and I'm counting on you, you're counting on me kind of deal.
Yeah,
You putting a platoon together.
Yes, I am.
You're putting a platoon.
John's perking up over here.
Well, as a matter of fact, I got the guys from the Army recruiting. They're going to come in a few times and run them through some stuff, and then show them some Army stuff. And so we're going to get after it now. We will not be physically. We're going to be much more physical next year than we were this year.
Well, I was just going to go back to some of the history of this ball game, Coach. It's first played in 1914, and then we skipped a couple of years for World War I, and then in 24 and 25 we missed those games, but been consecutive ball games for 98 years, and then I think it's 109 or 110 overall.
Yeah.
But it is a special, special game, and according to Coach Mack, and I remember him saying this a couple of years ago, that it's the first in the state of Alabama, but it's the second consecutive in the nation.
Yeah.
So the longest streak in the nation. And I'll tell you what you're going to get with Guntersville. They've got some athletes, no doubt, but when you go to the front, they're disciplined.
Yeah.
They play disciplined football. A lot of that comes to me from the continuity with the coaches.
Yeah.
Coach Isom was there before Coach Reese. I don't know how long Coach Isom was there, a long time. And then Coach Reese comes on. I want to say he's been there probably 15, maybe plus years.
Yeah, he's actually been on the staff for 33 years. He's been their head coach for 14 years.
14 years.
Well, this is his 14 plus years.
And I know that their two coordinators are right around like the 10-year mark. I mean, they've that's what you've got from them. That's something that we want to get built here at Albertville, and I think it would. That continuity is what you get from Guntersville. That's kind of what sustained them over the years.
Yeah. Well, continuity in your coach staff is very good, and whenever you can do that, that is a big. That's big because your kids know what to expect, and you're running the same stuff, and they get all that down. So, this year was a big time learning season for us. We had to unpack some things that had gone on in the past, and teach them some things that were expected of them, and that there is there's no gray area with me. It's black or it's white, and you're going to do this or you're not, and if you don't, you're not going to do this, you're not going to be a part of it. So I just don't believe in that. I let them have some say-so in a few things, maybe what we're going to wear Friday night, but that's about it. They're kids, and we're gonna do what's right, and we're gonna, approach it that way and approach it like a business where here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to do it, and this is when we're going to do it and why we're going to do it and all those kind of things, and explain that to them. And so I'm really looking forward to off season. I know we've got some guys that are going to come out in our school that I think will help us. Some size is going to come out, and I'm excited about some of these guys. And we've got some kids in our school that play other sports that need to play football that would probably have 5 or 6 offers right now.
Yeah.
To play football if they had. And, between me and Tony and Coach Harper, the college football coaches that we know, for Xavier, I mean, calling around for him. I mean, I don't. I can call a guy and say, hey, you need to come look at this kid. You need to sign this kid. And that guy will believe what I tell him because I've coached with him.
Yep.
And he knows I know what I'm talking about. And the same thing with Tony and the same thing with Ken. We got a lot of guys out there that can help. And I want these guys, if they want to play college football, I want them to play. And I want to get them out there and let them experience that stuff. And there is no BS in me. I'm going to tell them what's up and what it's about. And college football's hard now. This is a tough man's game now.
Mm-hmm.
It is a tough man's game. And when you step on that college football field, you got a bunch of guys around there that will light you up.
Yeah.
In high school, 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 3 that'll really hit you at the 7A level. But once you step on that college football field, all them guys like to hit you, and they like it, And so, so it's one of those deals that I really think that we're going to get some of those guys out that will help us tremendously, and we're going to teach them stuff, and we're going to let them know those kind of things, and so I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the offseason. I really am.
Coach, we'll take one more time out and come back and wrap things up. It's the Coach Bert Browne Show here from Legends in Albertville on Power 107.5. And welcome back to Legends of Albertville. Barry Galloway, Keith Ball, John Gladden, and the final show of the season. Gunnersville coming up Friday night. John?
Yeah, Coach, so I'm a stats guy, right? I like looking at numbers and breaking this all down. I just want to share some numbers with you I thought was pretty awesome. So CJ Zuniga, right? So he's 8th grader, right? Which I got tickled because somebody said the other day that while everybody else is wearing their suit, he's the only dude wearing a suit at the middle school, right,
Yeah.
on Fridays. I thought that was pretty funny. It didn't dawn on me until they said it. But what about this? If I told you this is all based off total yards, right?
Yeah.
Not yards, based off total yards, that CJ Zuniga is the 15th ranked quarterback in 7A right now.
Really?
15th ranked quarterback in all of 7A in terms of total yards thrown as an 8th grader. Hunter Smith is the 10th ranked wide receiver in total yards in 7A right now as a junior. Xavier Havis, obviously a senior, but he's the 21st ranked running back in all of 7A. Jakari Kirkland made his way on the board. He's the 64th best running back in 7A as a sophomore. With the exception of Xavier Havis, those names, and they don't keep up with defensive stats as good as they should, Christian, but
Sorry.
Christian Ramirez is the 22nd best defensive. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just making that up, but to make you sound good. Here, what about this? To me, there's a lot of good pieces to a future puzzle that you have right there when you've got a quarterback that's an 8th grader that's already in the top 20. You've got a wide receiver that's in the top 10. And you got a sophomore running back that's inside the top 70, and he's just kind of come on here late because of what he showed you in the JV games and at practice. Talk about maybe not only those pieces, but a few other that I may be missing, just pieces of the puzzle.
Well, we got Brant Sweat, a freshman wide receiver that's came on for us. Tay Prater, a freshman wide receiver that's came on for us. Rashawn Tatum, freshman wide receiver that's come on for us. So and we got an 8th grade quarterback. And it's like I told the 8th grade football team the other day. I said, guys, you've got a quarterback that if he was playing with you all, you'd probably be undefeated. I mean, I don't have any doubt. You put that kid playing against a bunch of 8th graders, he's going to shred them. He's playing at 7A football in the state of Alabama and doing what he's doing. So he's got a huge upside because he's learning every day. And so with him and our young bunch that we have, you would be crazy not to want to play football at Albertville because of all. I mean, first and foremost, I think if you want to play college football, you're going to have a chance because people are going to come and watch him play. They're going to come watch these young receivers play. They're going to come watch Christian play. They're going to, and then you've got guys that know, I know so many college coaches, and that's part of it is to know people that you can make a phone call to and say, hey, I got Christian Ramirez here you need to look at. He's just a sophomore. He's got a big upside. He's going to grow more. He's going to gain weight. He's going to do those things. He's just getting stronger every day. And that to me, for our kids, that's one of the advantages that we have, I think, of being able to help our kids get to the next level. And but CJ is not even scratch the surface, I don't think, as good as he can be, because he's learning. He's still an 8th grader, and sometimes if it's shiny, hey, Coach, where'd you get that shirt at? So, CJ, we're at practice. How about focusing on that? He's an 8th grader, and so
it's like a lure to a fish in
yeah,
the water.
Yeah, yeah. He's looking off, a bird flies over, and he checks him out.
What was that? Dory.
Yeah,
Dory and Finding Nemo.
Yeah, and so anyway, I'm excited about all those guys. Jakari has come on big time. Jakari runs hard, and he's fast. He's only going to get better. G-Man, the 8th grade running back.
I've heard about him.
Yeah, he's 210 pounds. I told him and Jakari the other day they're going to be thunder and lightning next year. So I'm excited about those guys.
G-Man, and we can nickname him the G-Wagon one day.
There you go.
Go ahead and throw that out there. But, yeah, somebody said the other day he might look like that 240, 50-pound running back we seen last week.
He'll be better than that kid.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he will be better than that kid, because G-Man will run over you. That kid, I thought, would – not get in the open field and lower his shoulder. He was worried about you messing with his knees, and he'd get out there and kind of, but this kid I'm talking about will run you over.
We were talking about a second ago, going back to that a little bit. When you stop and think about how young we really are, and all
trust me,
all
I think about it at night at 3 in the morning when I wake up.
But it's just. And a lot of those guys are getting so much playing time as young ball players. I know we've talked about it before, but I feel like when they get to be sophomores and juniors, they've gone through the fire. Yeah. They've been baptized in it. They know what the pressure feels like, and that's only going to be beneficial for them when they get when they get a little bit older in the future.
Yeah, and I'll stand on the sideline and just be amazed at stuff that we do, stupid. I'm like, good Lord, did that just happen? It's been one of those seasons where we're so young, we're going to do stupid things. We're going to do things that older football teams don't do, and I think that bodes well for our future that we've played so many young guys. It's amazing. Like I'm looking out there at times, I'm going, we have 2 freshman safeties in the game. Mm-hmm. 7A football, it's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But they're learning by the fire. Man, they're out there in it, and that's what's going to help us in the future, next year and the following year and the following years. We've got guys that have been thrust into having to play, and so next year and the next year and the next year, it's going to be like, well, heck, I've done this for a while now. It's no big deal to me.
Coach, before we do head out in a minute, on behalf of 107.5, I want to thank you and the coaching staff for what you've done. I know it's not the season you were hoping for. Of course it wasn't, but the fact that you are going up some of the best teams in the state, future college players.
Yeah.
You've been dealt with some very talented young men, but they're young. You got a few seniors, a few juniors, but a lot of 10th graders, 9th and 8th.
Yeah.
I think on behalf of us, from week 1 to week 9 last week, I think you've done an outstanding job.
Well, I appreciate that. I think our kids have responded to us. And, we coach. I've told them this many times. Look, you can't take coaching personal. We're going to coach you, and we're not coaching. We're not getting on you because we don't like you. We're getting on you because we love you. We want you to do better. We want you to be better. We want you to learn. We want you to be successful. And so that's just one of the things I think that we try to do. I know Coach Harper is a very, enthusiastic guy. He jumps up and down and he coaches hard and he gets on them and then he loves on them and he, but that's just that's like being a father. You're going to get on your son, but you love them, but you got to get on them to make them do the right things and so that they're going to be safe and they learn and all those kind of things.
As I look over my shoulder and my son sitting over there, so I don't understand. Coach, final question for me for the year. All right, so you go back to the beginning of fall camp, and you go through this entire season, and just for me, obviously you have the positive and the negative, and then sometimes more negative as the games go on. But what is that one or two things positively that you take out of this season that you can use as a springboard going into the off season and these younger kids coming up? Those one or two things that you are like, yes.
Well, I just think how hard we play, how hard our kids play, that they don't give up, they don't quit, they don't. There's no quitting. We played hard all year long, and I just feel like that's the biggest positive. And another positive is we've had so many young guys playing. They've gotten a ton of playing time, and it's not like playing time against some sorry teams. It's playing time again. I mean, we will see some of these offensive linemen play in the NFL that we've played against. I mean, some of these guys that we've played against, some of these monsters, they're gonna go on and play big time college football, and there'll be some of these guys playing in the NFL. There'll be some of these D linemen playing in the NFL, and there'll probably be some of these skill guys that we've played against playing in the NFL. So when you're a sophomore corner and you're playing against a dude that's going to play in the SEC, or you're a sophomore offensive lineman that's playing against a guy that's going to LSU, I mean. So I think those two positives, just how hard our kids play, and then just and that's what I said earlier in the year. Somebody asked me what you thought about what would be the one thing you say about your team before the season starts, and I said, well, I think we're going to be very scrappy. We're going to be a bunch that's scrappy and won't quit and give up, and they'll fight to the end. And every coach that we've played has come up to me after the game and said, Coach, your guys have played so dang hard. It's amazing, that you just – and they're well coached. And, that's something I think a coach – the best thing you can say to a coach is, your kids are well coached and they play hard.
Well, really quick, Coach, my last thing for the year is I'm so dang proud of this team and the coaching staff for the adversity that we faced this year. I mean, football aside, I mean, we lost a player. I mean, JJ and something like that happens, and then you've got all the just the growing pains and that sort of thing. But the biggest thing is kids have not quit, and I'm going to be honest with you, I've seen it in the past where they have. Yeah. Kids have not quit. They've worked their butts off. They've fought. They don't quit. They keep playing. Coaches are coaching their rear ends off, and it could be 58-0, and Coach Harper's out there fired up as he can be and getting after it. And but as an old Aggie and as an old coach and just that doesn't I take a lot of pride in that, just being from here.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And I tell you what, losing takes a toll on everybody, and it's really hard to be positive sometimes. But I try to be. But as a coach, winning is very important to me, and it always has been. I want to beat. I don't care what I'm playing. I want to beat you, and so it takes a toll on you mentally. I drive home after practice thinking about things. I drive home on Friday nights after games thinking about things. I lay in bed thinking about, I'm not going to lie now. The last couple weeks I've been extremely tired throughout the day, just mentally. When you go through this and you haven't won and you want to win so bad and you want your kids to have success, and you're always trying to think of ways to make that happen. I'm always trying to think of ways to keep the kids engaged, what to say to them to keep them practicing hard and playing hard, and it gets tough. But hey, I'm in a great community. Me and my wife love it, and we got a bunch of good kids here, and so we're going to hit the off season like wild men. I mean, we are going to. It's going to be a different feel in the weight room, and me and Coach Alford have already got plans on all that stuff, and so I'm excited about that part. I really think that this off season we're going to win in that weight room.
Coach, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Good luck Friday night.
Thank you.
Speaking for Keith and John, hey, we appreciate you joining us every Wednesday
Well,
this
thank
year.
you all for having me, and thanks to Legends for having it, and hopefully we can do it bigger and better next year.
Looking forward to it. All right, and that's going to wrap it up for us. Don't forget, join us Friday night, 6:30 for the Coach Browne pregame show. Kickoff at 7 as Gunnersville comes to town. So for Keith and John, Barry, and have a good night, everybody. We'll talk to you Friday night.